because we love you.
Hey.
What's up, motherfuckers?
Oh, I thought that was going to be singular, directed at me, and I had a response all prepared.
What was it?
The listeners can't respond to you, so I'll speak on their behalf.
And say?
I watched The Hunt for the Skinwalker this morning.
Okay, so a little bit of a
coming in hot
on-air production, not production meeting, but a little bit, I'll say, behind the scenes.
An impromptu is it trash?
I get a text message today from Spencer at I don't know, 10:30 a.m., something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just says a gift.
No, let's not open with descriptions of the times that I uploaded copyrighted things to the internet and sent them to you.
I mean, it's fine. Whatever. It's fine. It was just for me.
Personal use, right?
Yeah.
Sure. It's protected.
Yeah.
There's a password. It's fine. You have to be logged into our email to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Shit's fine.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
Anyway.
That means I'd finished watching it by 10:30 this morning.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Which made me go, I bet Spencer had an interesting morning today.
It's 2 hours long. I started about 8:30.
I was also at work, so was not able to indulge, if you will, in said gift.
You didn't take a 2-hour break in the middle of your workday and watch a documentary about weird shit?
I know we've got 4 meetings over the next 2 hours, but I'm going to have to move them all so I can go sit in a conference room and watch this fucking super duper weird. Is this really quickly before you get into your impromptu is it trash? Actually, we have 2 impromptu is it trashes today. The trailer for this, is this the one that we played on the paid episode?
You got really mad about it.
I got
an episode
real
once.
fucking mad. Yeah. That was the Patreon, right?
Yeah.
We do 2 episodes a week. Go to patreon.com/whatifpodcast if you want to get a second one.
So this dude, Jeremy Corbell, he's made a lot of documentaries, several of them about paranormal things.
Documentaries!
They are documentaries. They're not necessarily good ones, but they are documentaries.
You guys should have seen how big my air quotes were. They were so big.
Did you ever watch Patient 17?
Is that the one about people pulling shit out of their heads?
Sort of.
Or their
the
legs.
alien implant thing, yeah. The one where they're running I turned it off when they were running a stud finder over the guy's leg.
Holy shit, bud. Jesus Christ. No, I did not see that one either.
I was more committed to this one because I paid money for it. The other one was on Netflix.
Got it. I paid money for it too.
Yes, totally.
Carry on. See, I fixed it.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Hey, if anybody wants to sue us as a business, we have like $30. It's fine.
Also, we're not sending it out to tens of thousands of people.
No, exactly one person. It's okay. So it's about Skinwalker Ranch, which if you're not familiar, Google it, I guess, or listen to our episode about it.
I was going to say, or go listen to our podcast.
That's fine. Yeah. But it's, the weird place in Utah where UFOs and Bigfoots and interdimensional portals and poltergeists and all kinds of crazy shit happens.
They be chilling.
Allegedly. Well, one thing I learned in the process of watching this documentary today is that George Knapp, who wrote the book The Hunt for the Skinwalker, which this documentary is very tightly based on.
Oh, I thought you were going to say very loosely based on. I'm intrigued
it
now.
is like an exact retelling of the book, basically.
Oh, with his permission?
Yeah, so George Knapp is in the movie just as much as he's like the main character in the movie.
Oh, interesting.
But one thing I learned in watching the documentary and hearing some interviews with him and Corbell, George Knapp never personally saw anything at Skinwalker Ranch.
So he wrote that entire book off of interviews with other people?
Yes.
How does that make you feel about that book?
And Jeremy Corbell, who made this documentary about George Knapp writing a book, has also never witnessed anything unusual.
Oh.
So these two guys are writing books and making documentaries about entirely second or most often third-hand stories that have no documentation. The dude made a 2-hour documentary without a single frame of anything weird.
So what had happened was, that's the entire documentary, is people just saying that over and over again?
Yeah, or he has 2 firsthand eyewitness accounts in the movie.
Okay.
One of I saw a UFO, and one of I saw like a big spotlight in the sky that shined down on top of me.
Well, now I feel real dumb for getting all scared about all the stuff on our Skinwalker episodes if it's just a bunch of people who were like, then there was some cows in a trailer, and then they weren't.
Well, so here's most of the documentary is George Knapp when he went to write that book and spent time on the ranch and with the NIDS people and Robert Bigelow and everybody who was working on the, I don't know, the research, I guess, or the studying of the ranch.
Mm-hmm.
He originally went out there with the intention of making a documentary, and then they never got permission to release the footage publicly, and so it turned into a book instead. And so about half of this documentary that came out today is Knapp's footage from the documentary he originally was going to make.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Because he's now gotten permission from Bigelow to release it publicly.
But the footage that Knapp took for his documentary itself still doesn't document any of the actual paranormal weirdness of the ranch.
It primarily documents Colm Kelleher walking around the ranch saying, and this is where this happened. But I didn't see it. Somebody whose name I can't say saw it. But it's big and it's important, and watch out. Things are going to change. Like, the whole movie is just hyping up like, this is going to be a world-changing event. There's before this movie and after this movie. And then nothing happens for 2 hours. Like, if you've read the book, there's literally zero new information in the movie. And then you also realize that none of that information in the book has been verified.
I don't know why I decided to do this.
What the fuck was that?
Bunch of bullshit. It's what in the fuck it was.
Also, I thought it was really funny that, just quick, as we're filling out our Is It Trash, what's the word for how teachers grade things?
Syllabus?
No, but rubric?
Rubric.
Our Is It Trash rubric.
Rubric's Cube.
Yes.
I'll see myself out.
Corbell is just not good at making movies.
Tight.
Specifically, the audio is just like horrendous to the point where he's doing interviews and it's hard to even understand what people are saying.
Sick.
And then they keep going back to this totally shot on a VHS camcorder in the mid 90s George Knapp documentary. No, it's way better. The overall quality of Knapp's documentary from the 90s shot with a camcorder is significantly better.
That's awesome. I love that.
Like, I would have rather watched that whole film than watched this, like, weird Frankenstein film that Corbell put together where he has to include himself in every shot. There are multiple shots of him standing like at a wall in his studio in slow motion, pinning photos together and drawing lines with chalk between them.
Oh, like that scene from
every fucking conspiracy, everything ever. Yes.
And also It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Charlie gets all cracked out and he's like trying to figure out the connections between things.
Yep. 45 minutes into the film, they had shown the creepy faded keep out sign on a gate 5 times.
Like the same shot?
He had reused a shot 5 times, nice. 45 minutes into a 2-hour movie.
You know a documentary is really high quality when you're forced to use the same like clip stab.
He spent the first 15 minutes hyping it up and just saying, like, I wrote down some quotes as I was watching.
Tight. Thank God.
If any of this is true, which is a great hint that it's not, this is game changing. And I wrote in parentheses, I'm expecting to be severely disappointed.
I love that you're a hater in real time. Oh, that's so awesome.
He like, the whole movie is him hyping up a reveal that never happens. And he's like, he says at one point, it's just part of life out here, referring to the weird shit that he has never seen, nor anyone in the movie with 2 exceptions has ever seen. There's so much footage. We have mountains of tapes, and yet there's nothing weird on any of them. Most of them is a guy named Colm walking around a fucking ranch by himself.
Oh, he's referring to the footage from George Knapp stuff.
Yeah.
Water, and not a drop to drink, I think.
It's people retelling stories from the book with shitty, creepy music for 2 hours.
You know, based on how mad I got about the trailer, I feel pretty vindicated in my entire sort of mental read of what that looked and sounded like.
Also, unannounced at the 1 hour and 30-minute mark, Robbie Williams shows up, walking around the ranch in a Gucci jacket and Yeezys.
Time out.
And they don't introduce him. He's just like, he climbs out of some ATV and starts talking to the camera.
When you say Robbie Williams, you mean the dude from Ancient Aliens, Robbie Williams?
No, I mean like English pop star Robbie Williams.
Oh, I'm thinking of somebody else from Ancient Aliens.
I don't think there's a Robbie Williams on Ancient Aliens.
What's he doing there?
They don't say.
It's sick.
He's
super sick.
They conclude the movie with these 5 guys sitting around a campfire, smoking cigs and talking about if shit is weird or not. And then finally at that point, it just says on the screen while he's talking about how he doesn't want to get possessed. Robbie Williams, artist/singer. There's no explanation of why he's in the film or why he's there or why his like UFO hunting gear is a Gucci bomber jacket and some Yeezys, but there he is.
Because if you're gonna get yanked up in the sky, you're gonna do it in style, baby.
It's messy, to put it lightly.
Bro, you're gonna hop up into the alien spaceship, just like draped up and dripped out, and you're gonna point at those alien feet, and you're gonna go, "What are those?" That's why.
I guess I don't know how to assign a level of trash to it.
You got to ask the question.
Oh, right.
This is the essential part of grading our content.
Are they trash?
Yes.
With a qualifier. The delivery was with a qualifier.
It was trash to the point where I was upset, but I think only because I paid $15 to watch it.
Jesus.
Yeah, it seems a little too high.
It's because he knows
that was 3 of you subscribing to our Patreon for a month, by the way. That allowed me to watch this film this morning. So thank you.
Slash
you're welcome.
You're welcome for deterring you from for saving you from this monstrosity.
Or if you like us reviewing shitty documentaries, patreon.com/whatifpodcast.
Yeah. Maybe the reason he charges so much money for it is because he knows that everyone who watches it is going to have the exact same reaction you had. And so he's like, look, I'm only going to get to like trick like 500 people into watching this before everyone knows it sucks.
It wasn't, I'm exaggerating a little bit for effect, but it was not good, but it wasn't horrible. And if I hadn't paid money for it, I think I would have been okay being like, oh,
this is kind of interesting.
This is actual footage of the places that I read about in that book. And yeah, those stories are weird and it's kind of interesting to hear different people tell them, but there's literally nothing new compared to the book that came out like a decade plus ago.
It sounds softer than making omelets with Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
And then they try and tie it into the To the Stars stuff at the beginning and end.
Do we get an appearance from?
No Tom DeLonge.
Damn.
We do get a brief Bobby Big Shot appearance.
BB Biggs! That's tight.
He talks very vaguely about how there's some sort of nebulous impending doom for the last 2 minutes of the movie.
Is he weird?
Yeah. He's super fucking weird. Oh, also, he sold the ranch about 2 years ago. I guess that's the only somewhat new information. He sold it, and there's a new owner who's doing more stuff now, I guess.
More research?
Yeah.
If the billionaire space seeker man wasn't able to find or document any weirdness on the property...
Maybe because one of his main strategies was using, quote, biosensors.
This is Bobby Biggs?
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me what that means?
It means a dog. They would put dogs outside, and then if the dogs barked at something, they would go try and see what the dog was barking at. They needed multiple people with PhDs to put a dog outdoors and watch it.
It concerns me that someone who is trying to engineer space flight and like space things has not heard of a camera before.
Biosensors.
That's a
retriever.
That's a nose, my dude.
That's a Labrador. You can't call a Labrador a biosensor.
Oh, I'm sorry, my guy. I don't think you get to just invent fucking technological names for man's best friend. That's not how that works.
His name is Dwight.
My name
Dwight
is
the dog.
My name is Dwight.
You're not a dog. Your name's Dwight the human.
I'm your dog. What up, dog? Hey.
Anyway, that was what I needed to
get off your chest.
Yeah. In part 1 of Is It Trash?
Part 2, before we dive into faces.
Yeah, faces on floors.
Faces. Face on the floor. Face on the floor. Face on the floor. Face on the floor.
Is that a Big Frida reference? Ass
yeah.
everywhere?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was the rhythm I was going for.
Cool.
But we have a very important, extremely important part 2 of Is It Trash? Can I set it up?
I don't know how to, so I'd love it if you would.
Okay. So the other day, guys, I tell you what, we try to have fun on our Twitter and Instagram and Facebook accounts because for the most part, the internet as a whole is a steaming pile of dog shit inside of a dumpster fire, inside of a black hole.
If you let it.
I mean, I don't know. I done fucked my timeline up real bad, but
yeah, see, you got to start over.
I know, but then I feel like I'm being willfully ignorant to the woes of the world.
Yeah, but what have you done about them?
Been sad.
Yeah, right. So fuck it. It's not like you're accomplishing anything.
You know what?
Reading about shit on Twitter doesn't mean that you've done anything about it. It just means you feel dumb.
I just need to talk to you guys more. At What If Pod, at Ryan Goppard. Let's not talk about better things. I tried to make the internet better the other day by digging into an old folder of bookmarks I had of old Vines that I found particularly hilarious that made me laugh.
Did you save the videos or can you still view Vines?
The actual hosted links for the videos still exist.
Okay. It just doesn't exist as like a platform that you can upload new material to and interact with.
I'm pretty sure you can't go to people's profile pages.
Okay.
And you can't go to you can't follow anybody. You can't create an account.
But if you have a folder of bookmarks,
you can watch the shit out of some Vines.
Cool.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? The internet sucks particularly bad today. I'm going to post a Twitter feed of 30 or 40 of my favorite Vines because they're going to make me laugh and hopefully someone else feels like the world isn't as shitty of a place as it is.
You could also just close Twitter when you feel like that, but go on.
Yeah. Or you could just try to it's like the soup is shitty. So you could either stop eating the soup or you could be like, but I got this
soup has a donut in it.
But I got this dope ass ingredient and I can throw donut holes into the soup and then we can eat donut hole soup.
This soup is now mostly whiskey.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that'll be at least a little better.
Eating soup.
But at least I can't feel pain. So there's that. Anyway, somewhere in, I don't know what number it was, somewhere in there, I posted a Vine of mine, which I had saved not for its comedic value, but for the holy shit, I got to do this someday, which is someone who took one of those cans of Pillsbury Cinnabon, or not Cinnabon, but Pillsbury cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
It's like the tube, then you just break off the pieces and you put them in the oven, you cook them, right?
The Annie's organic one is superior, by the way.
Oh, sick. I've never actually bought that before.
Well, what are you doing 40 minutes from now?
Guys,
and do you have a waffle maker?
Guys, we will open and close this episode with Is It Trash?
Target will definitely still be open by the time we're done recording. We could get both of those things.
I do not have a waffle maker, but I'm about to buy one because what we did was, not what we did. What I posted was a Vine of someone taking those cinnamon roll dough pieces, throwing them into a waffle maker, sizzling them until they had made a cinnamon roll waffle, and then eating it for breakfast. And that was...
Wait. Are you putting the whole thing in there? Are you eating... If you ate that whole waffle, are you eating the equivalent of 6 cinnamon rolls or whatever is in a tube?
Well, you put one in each quadrant of the waffle maker.
So you're eating 4 cinnamon rolls?
I mean, if you nosh the whole thing...
Okay, so this thing is hella dense.
I mean, yeah, but no one is doing this for the health benefits. Right. We're doing this because it sounds fucking delicious.
If we ever write a what if memoir.
Which?
Hella dense.
Hella dense, bro. That's my
Many stupids.
Many stupids.
Anyway.
So before I was able to actually execute on this, What If podcast correspondent Rob Christopherson beat us to the punch and called in to give us his own. Is it trash? Rob, take it away.
Boys, it's your What If correspondent, Rob Christopherson. I'm in the field right now.
Yes.
And so, Ryan, you posted some vines that you really loved a while ago, and one of them was of the Cinnabon kind of like waffle kind of thing. It looked delicious. I gave it a try. You wanted me to call you to tell you if this was indeed trash. So I'm going to tell you about my experience. You know, I fired up that waffle maker. Everything turned out fine. I thought it was going to be a tragedy at one point because I lifted up on the waffle maker and I'm like, oh no, it's not.
Oh, you did the goo. Coming, you got the goo.
Staying together, so I just clamped it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When I pulled it out, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
Yes.
It was the perfect waffle.
Yes.
And then I put it down on a plate. I put some of that good stuff on there.
Frosting. What up?
I have to report, it is not trash.
Yes.
It is definitely a good idea to do it.
Yes.
Go put cinnamon buns in your waffle makers, people. It's brilliant. This has been Rob Christopherson reporting from the field.
Rob from Our Strange Skies.
Are they trash?
Absolutely not. They are great.
You know, we went 1 for 2 today on Are They Trash?
Can we buy 2 waffle makers and bring?
We need 2 now?
Hang tight. And bring them to the September 19th Ice House live show for our 100th episode live recording and celebration.
We definitely could.
And then serve cinnamon waffles to the audience.
How long? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
we definitely could.
Yes, we could.
Just load up a cooler with tubes of dough.
And just like, maybe that's like part of the price of admission.
You get
a waffle.
Maybe some amount of a waffle that we can't guarantee.
You know,
it's going to be really sticky in there.
That's a good point.
I don't know if Ice House would appreciate that.
You ever do like a breakfast buffet ever in your life?
Yes.
You know how they have those like metal things that open up like they're like kind of a tube, and you open up the lid and it's like over those hot whatever canisters. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm very lost right now. A hot tube over some canisters.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? And there's always like bacon in it or like sausage in it or whatever, and you like open
in a tube?
Well, not a tube, but it's like circular, and then you open the lid and shut the lid.
Oh, yeah.
We should just have one of those on the side and have a buffet of like pre-made.
You should have a catered breakfast buffet?
Cinnamon bun.
Just the straight up Holiday Inn quality, Holiday Inn Express quality breakfast buffet going on at our 8 p.m. show.
Guys, 612-246-4614.
For what?
Call and tell us whether you would be more likely to come to shows in your town if we also served
this one is
personal breakfast buffet.
So here's what we do. This is a great idea for the road.
Ooh.
I want to start touring this bullshit and staying at Holiday Inn Expresses.
Oh.
And we'll just, we'll make waffles until we get cut off.
Oh, at the waffle maker at the Holiday Inn Express.
And then we'll bring them to the show that night.
Sick!
Or we'll do like, I would actually prefer to play like 10 a.m. shows over 10 p.m. shows. If you guys want to do like breakfast style podcasts in your town, very down for that.
And then we're done.
Or your university or your house or whatever.
And then we're done by like noon or 1, and then everybody can go get day drunk together. And like, what's better than getting day drunk,
Mini golf.
Oh, why not both?
Good point.
Yes, and my friend. Yes, and.
Do we have any other nonsense to talk about before the official nonsense?
I think that was most of our unofficial nonsense. The live show has been mentioned. Thanks to Rob. That's all I had.
Robbie Williams. Thank you to Robbie Williams.
Thanks to Robbie Williams, but also Robert Christopherson.
Oh, related note. I made bacon pancakes for breakfast this morning.
Making bacon and you put it in a pancake?
Sure did.
Sick. Proud of you.
Making pancakes. Making pancakes.
Proud of you.
Shout out to Jake the dog. You want to begin?
You ever been to Spain?
Nope.
Me neither.
I got close once.
Did you?
Been to a couple of the countries that border it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I want to go to Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not this one specific place in Spain.
Okay. Like that lady's house.
Like this lady's house.
Those faces on the floor.
So there's a city in Spain called Bélmez. It's in the Andalusia region, southern Spain.
You gotta lisp with the F.
Andalusia, that's right. Yeah. THs for the S's. Facts. Get
out here with your Mexican Spanish.
It's true. That is the Spanish I learned. In Bélmez, in Spain, in the Andalusia region, a town of about 2,000 people. It's August of 1971, and a woman named Maria Pereira is cleaning her kitchen floor. And she notices on her kitchen floor, which is concrete at the time, an unusual...
Is that a thing?
What's that?
Concrete kitchen floors.
For sure.
Really? I've never seen one.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm imagining this is a relatively rustic home.
Okay.
So, yes.
Is it like a polished concrete?
I mean, I know polished concrete exists from...
Thank you.
From the photos of the topic we are about to discuss,
anyway,
this does not appear to be polished concrete. It appears to be raw concrete.
Okay. She's got cement floors.
She's cleaning the concrete floor of her kitchen and notices a stain on the concrete. It's like a darkened kind of mixed color stain on the concrete. Thinks it's weird, tries to scrub it out, doesn't really work. Should we put our allegedly bookends in here real quick?
Yeah, this one's more nonsense than most.
Allegedly, at the beginning and at the end, bookends. Oh, shout out to the listener who suggested this topic for us, by the way, whose name I do not have handy.
Yeah, it's okay. He or she probably knows who they are.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we got floor stains that won't come out.
Yeah, and they're getting sort of more, they're spreading kind of over the course of a handful of days. It's like, I don't know if like morphing is the right word, but like seemingly moving.
Okay.
Until about a week in, it appears that from the surface of the floor of her concrete kitchen floor, a face has emerged.
Like... a 2-dimensional one or a 3-dimensional one?
3 dimensions would be very tight.
Like a Han Solo face or like a Rembrandt face?
Han Solo being preserved face. No, like a Rembrandt face. A 2-dimensional...
That's what I call portraits. Rembrandt faces.
I got that Rembrandt.
You mean like them paintings that they used to make?
That the smart people put in their fancy museums. So... yeah, it's a face, and the family, the Pereira family, was unsure and confused, and I would say slightly disconcerted that a face had emerged in the floor of their kitchen. That concern
was it monochromatic or was it in color?
Not in color. I mean, like there were. I guess I would say like the stain varied in color, but like
we're talking like gray and dark gray.
Yeah, like grayscale. Basically, it wasn't like a painting, or it didn't appear like a painting in terms of multicolor.
Got
it. They basically couldn't get it to scrub out of their concrete floor, and fearing that this was some sort of bad omen or strange
ghost floor.
Yeah, strange ghost floor. Mm-hmm. Maria's husband goes to the shed and gets a pickaxe. And
I apologize.
And may have apologized to the face before
fucked up.
Pickaxing it into oblivion. Yes.
Jeez. That's aggressive, Maria.
I mean, well, I don't know that she asked for it, but...
well, I don't know if the person in the floor did either.
That's also true. But her husband did, in fact, destroy the face on their floor.
Destroy that face. Wait, so they like excavated the concrete floor or a portion of it?
A portion of it, yeah. I mean, basically broke it up and re-poured it to make it flat again. Not the entirety of the kitchen, but essentially the area where the face had appeared.
All right.
Yeah.
Did they try? So they tried scrubbing it out. Did they try like putting stain or? Well, I don't know what you can do with concrete, but like, did they try putting anything over it? Before they tore up their kitchen floor,
just throw a rug over it and be like,
yeah, Wait. The face wasn't talking, was it?
No, but I'm imagining if you covered its mouth, it might be more inclined to ask you to not stop it from breathing.
Yeah, probably if you pickaxe it in the face too.
Well,
dicks.
Well,
okay, so they killed that floor ghost.
They killed that floor ghost.
Repoured their floor.
Repoured their floor. Life goes back to normal.
Unpossessed new cement.
Yes.
Okay.
A week later, it reappears. The
same face, or
you could argue that it is. You could argue that it isn't. There's a side by side of the images online.
Okay. How literal of a face are we talking here? Is it like a
I would say
a Rembrandt ass face, or like a Picasso face, or like a face on Mars face?
I would say somewhere between a Picasso face and a face on Mars face.
Okay. But definitely not a Chuck Close face.
Definitely not a Chuck Close face. Damn.
But not
flexing his art degree all up in y'all's faces.
It's the only time it's been useful ever. Literally one time, and it's right now.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so these are like obviously faces, though. This isn't like a, what's the, paradiddle?
I believe you're referring to pareidolia.
Thank you. Paradiddle is not that.
Which we'll get into a little bit later in the show.
But these are like clearly
pretty. I would say yes, pretty clearly faces. The versions that are online, most of them you can pretty obviously tell they've been like had the contrast beefed up on them.
Oh, the photos?
Yeah, like the saturation and the contrast and like things have been done to sort of accentuate the face shapes.
Did Secure Team 10 circle them in red?
Of course he did. Of course he did. And made a 13-minute video about one of them. Got to do the Ken Burns like 700 times on the same image just to make sure people know.
Droney X-Files ass music in the background. Twilight Zone. Get the fuck out of here. I don't even know the difference between the X-Files and Twilight Zone.
Oh,
trying to have a podcast about ghosts.
I was just making creepy sounds. It was not intended to be anything else. A week later, a similar face to our Rembrandt-ass face appears in the kitchen floor.
Okay. How do we know this? Are the homeowners telling us this?
Well, yes. I mean, they told that story eventually.
Okay. But all this information is ultimately coming from the people who lived in the house?
Yes, but we do have photographic documentation of the faces of Bélmez.
Okay.
So yes, like the way that people are hearing about this is the family saying, yeah, hey guys, what are you doing in your kitchen? Well,
scrubbing the floor ghosts.
Well, you see what had happened was
maybe they were just hungry and they figured that was their best chance of getting some free food.
The floor ghosts?
Yeah.
It's like the dog pet that you have that sits in the kitchen. Dog pet. Baby dog. That's my fiance and I's new name for puppies. Baby dog. Yeah, you're gonna be like the dumpster that catches the scraps, right?
Yeah, dog dumpster. Dumpster dog.
Dumpster face. Add it to the list.
Yep.
It's a new band.
I think I might prefer face dumpster though.
Face dumpster? I like dumpster face a lot.
It's rude.
We'll workshop it. So the Pereiras do start telling people in their neighborhood in Bélmez about the faces that are appearing in their ding-dang kitchen floor.
Hey!
For sure. There are different reports about the way that they presented this to people. The most common that I found was one of fear or confusion. Not knowing where this is coming from and basically being freaked out by it.
And then telling others in a, like, can you reassure me that my floor is not possessed by...
Yeah, like, this is fucked up, right? Are you experiencing anything similar?
People?
This is fucking scary. We don't know what to do.
Do you also have dumpster people living in your floors?
Yes, exactly. Because then at least misery loves company, right?
I feel like that would be worse.
If it was happening all over the city?
Yeah.
Well, then you know that
got a full-blown infestation at that point.
Then you know you got to leave at that point.
Right. Got to put the fumigation circus tent over the whole town and just...
Facts.
Pickaxe those dudes to death.
Facts.
Double death. 2 times.
2 times. There's also reports that the Pereiras actually, not only did they tell other people in their neighborhood, but they told the Bélmez City Council and or the mayor. looking for assistance in actually removing the second face that reappeared and doing testing on it to see if they could figure out what the face was made of or what might be causing the face's presence.
Can you imagine you like work your way up through government? You probably have like a poli-sci degree, got some experience. You're probably like in your mid 40s. You finally become mayor. You think it's going to be a stepping stone to becoming like, higher and higher in your government.
Of course.
And instead you're dealing with some old lady calling and asking you to get the face out of her kitchen floor.
Come get my face. What in the fuck, lady?
It's looking at me. My husband already killed the other one. Come get my face.
Can't keep killing all these faces.
Come get my face.
And that's actually exactly what the city council did.
How big was this town? How bored were they?
It says 2,000 or so people.
Okay. Is that counting the dumpster floor people or just regular people?
I think that's just the regular people.
So they got 2001 now.
Facts. Yes.
Okay. Or two
if you count the one
Briefly
they killed.
Had two.
Yes. The city helps them extract and basically excavate that section of concrete where the second face appeared in their floor.
They just go like full archaeological dig on it, or how'd they get it out?
The way that I understand it was they took more pickaxes to the surrounding area of the cement slab, got underneath it, and actually like lifted it out intact.
Okay.
And the intent was to take a portion of it to send to the Instituto de Cerámica y Vidrio, or the ICV, which was the Institute of Ceramics and Glass in Spain, for testing of the actual of the surface of the concrete itself, to see if there was pigments or chemicals or what was potentially actually causing like the staining and shaping on the floors.
And
well, before we get to the results of that,
the
story goes that when they removed that section of the kitchen floor below the Pereira home was quote 8 or 9 feet below, there were numerous skeletons buried underneath the Pereira house, some in fact headless.
Could you find photos of that? Because I could not. That just screams bullshit to me.
I agree.
You know what would make this spookier? Some skeletons with no heads. But we don't have photos. But we have hundreds of photos of our fucking kitchen floor.
We do. We have lots of photos of the faces. We do not have any faces of the bodies reported underneath the floor.
Could you find any more story? And like they would dig that up and they're going to examine the slab of concrete, but not the human remains that they found underneath? They just throw some dirt back on top of it, or what do they do with those?
No, the version I found said that they studied the corpses, exhumed them, sent them to local labs, and carbon dated the bones to figure out when they were from.
And also when
his head fell off.
Yes, which was back in the 13th century. And then they were...
it's a long time to not have a head.
Right? And then they were buried in a local Catholic cemetery. That's the version of the story that I'm seeing. But no, I don't have like a good... I don't have a good source for that, in fact, being the case.
Spanish are super Catholic, right?
Yes, correct. Most Latin American countries are.
Is this like a Virgin Mary situation? Like, is there religious context that might be in play here? I guess is a better way of asking that question. I
guess that's a fair question. There is a long-standing tradition of miraculous imagery in... Right. I mean, I guess I would say in a lot of religions, but particularly in Christianity and particularly in the Catholic denomination of Christianity, there's a lot of reports of miraculous images going back to the Shroud of Turin, and there's like actually a shockingly long list, like many that I did not even know existed.
Of faces showing up on stuff?
Faces showing up on stuff, yeah.
That's probably in the list of unusual Wikipedia articles somewhere.
Faces showing up on stuff?
Jesus in bread, etc.
I hope it's called Faces Showing Up on Stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
Christ Pickles and other assorted anomalies.
Christ Pickles added to the list. Yeah, no, for sure. There is definitely a tradition of that concept. However, at the Pereira house, there was not any like overtones or even really undertones of it being a religious thing.
Okay. I'm just wondering if maybe that would have something to do with why there would be so much interest in it. Whereas if the story had happened somewhere else, maybe it would not have garnered as much attention.
I can see that.
You're
saying because the concept was already popularized in some of those regions of the world.
Yeah,
for sure. That makes a lot of sense. But apparently there were studies done to see, basically people were questioning, like, there's a couple of different things. Is this happening naturally? Was this already here and it's getting uncovered? Or are they faking this?
3 seems like a pretty strong contender at this point.
Sure. Understandably so. And so
what would naturally mean? Occurring naturally?
Well,
like somebody with a really big face fell down once upon a time and their face oils are now creating cool pictures on the floor?
No, I think naturally would be more of like the well, I guess supernaturally could be one way to say it, or
like Maria was projecting her thought faces onto the floor.
Well, so there is
photography
to be considered here, which is something that was explored for a potential reason behind this, which is basically the idea that there are some people who can use thought to create photographic images, usually on photographic surfaces or surfaces that would take to some sort of art.
Did you read about Ted Sirios at all?
I did read about Theodore Sirios.
I wish that guy was still around.
So you could hang out with him?
Well, his whole thing was getting just fucking hammered and screaming at cameras.
Correct. Until sometimes they actually produced imagery.
He would just get annihilated, take all his clothes off, and scream at a camera through a paper tube.
Yeah.
And that's the best psychic performance I've ever heard of.
But sometimes it worked. Did you hear about this?
Fine worked. Like images showed up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Also, like cameras do take pictures.
Well, right. But the idea was not always necessarily that he was using a camera. Sometimes he was using like a tube and some film and like, I don't know, there was...
You know what can also make images? Tubes
a tube and some film. Yeah, that's true. No, that's real.
I always think it's funny when people like the whole psychic / ESP / telekinesis stuff. You have the craziest, most incredible, should be front page news everywhere talent of all time, and you're using it to drink 17 shots of whiskey, take your pants off, and create blurry photos.
Look, a lot of people get rich for different reasons, you know?
He didn't get rich, he got drunk and dead.
Well, maybe.
Or like,
maybe that's what he wanted.
I have the most powerful mind. I'm going to bend spoons.
It's real.
And what? Bro, do literally anything else.
Yes.
If you can, you should be doing literally anything other than bending my fucking spoons. That is a net negative outcome. All you did was fuck up one spoon. Now I can do that in a lot of different ways.
I'm just gonna spill my cereal now.
Now I just have one less spoon.
Now I just have bad cereal.
Like now I just have shitty photos and less film. Why? Like, I just have never understood that.
I get it. It's. I think
I do understand it, but
yes, I think the argument for it is people saying that like it's you know, I can't use my mind to cut a building in half, but a spoon is something simple enough that I can, like, it's an indicator that you have that power, but not like I can't move a car.
It's just it doesn't work that way argument.
That's fair.
It's not how it works. If you were a psychic, why'd you get hit by that car? That's not how it works.
Shots fired.
Well, seriously though, like, have you ever?
I want to talk to a real psychic at some point.
Okay.
We should get a psychic on the show.
Psychics.com. I bet they wouldn't come talk to us.
I bet you they wouldn't.
Psychic. I'm bad at spelling. .com.
While you look up psychics, I'm going to get back to the story at hand.
I guess that's a good thing to do at this point.
The Pereiras, people were questioning of the
sorry,
three.
I need to interrupt already. Oh, God. I just typed in psychics.com, from which you can get psychic readings over the phone.
How much does it cost?
Are we a one state consent state? One party consent state?
What does that mean?
Can we record phone calls without telling people we're recording them in our state? Because if so, I'm just going to call these people from our Skype.
How much does it cost?
I guess that's also a good question to ask before we do it. We'll come back to that. You keep going.
Guys, we need
this psychic.
We need 1,000 more Patreon supporters today. Right now.
Live psychic readings over the phone.
All right, we'll research that and come back to it. The Pereiras were being questioned for people thinking that they were potentially behind the faces on their own floor. And so in order to test that, some paranormal investigators, I also found a really rough Spanish translation of Ghostbusters, which was very funny to me.
Wait, what?
As in like someone who like they called a paranormal investigator like a funny version of that, which was like a Ghostbuster or something like that.
I thought you meant like you watched the movie dubbed in Spanish.
No. Dr. Hans Bender.
Oh, yeah. That's my guy.
This guy. They decided to see if they covered up the house and all of the entrances and the floor.
Gotta fumigate that bitch.
I mean,
Get the ghosts out.
You got to see if more faces show up, right?
Oh.
So they cover the floor, apparently in...
Oh, I see. As in trying to not let anyone in or out.
Right. And then go, do we see more faces?
Got it.
So that is exactly what they did, is they cover the floor with basically like... I don't know. This says a jacket, but I think that actually is maybe also a translation of some kind.
Like a tarp or something?
Tarp, and then apparently they sealed the doors and windows, and apparently the sealing process was all done in view of Dr. Bender's camera crew, as well as the town notary, which is an interesting thing. Like usually notaries are known for like...
Notarize this ghost, please.
Yeah. The door is shut!
This poltergeist has been notarized.
Yeah, right. And apparently they waited for 3 months, which I don't know what happened to the Pereira family, if they decided to live in another place for the time that this test was being undergone. Yeah.
How were they monitoring this? They had cameras and stuff on it the whole time, or?
No.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
So maybe they were just in the house?
Potentially in the house? I don't know.
Okay. Tent in the backyard? Treehouse? Maybe they had a treehouse.
They were photographing sections of the floor beforehand, covering it up, and then 3 months later, removing everything. The way they say it is, Dr. Bender found that it was apparent the faces on the floor had evolved and moved.
Wait, so there weren't necessarily new ones, but the existing ones had changed?
Had changed and changed location.
Whoa. That actually seems like it'd be significantly harder to fake.
I completely agree with you. In fact, that's like the one detail of this whole story that I find kind of interesting. Well, no, I shouldn't say that.
We are 50 minutes into this episode.
No. By kind of interesting, I mean kind of convincing is what I should say.
Yeah.
I think the rest of it is a fun story that I am not inclined to believe is all that real.
Right.
But they do have before and after photos.
How would you do that?
I'm not entirely sure. Well, actually...
Unless there just wasn't good documentation before.
That's a possibility.
Seems very possible if it's just a private residence.
Well, let's get into what's happening actually, since we are 50 minutes in, and this is almost sort of towards the end. Essentially, that was the end of sort of the investigation. Although there were those concrete samples that were tested by that local group. They found no evidence of pigments or actual like paint components.
Couldn't you just use oil, or there'd be a whole lot of things that would stain concrete, right?
Yeah, so we'll get into that. But they didn't find any like actual paint or anything like that. So
but it wasn't colored anyway, right? It was just like a discoloration of the concrete. It wasn't like red and blue and
yes.
Colors and stuff.
Red,
guys, you know about colors.
Blue, green, maybe,
perhaps,
yellow.
Yeah.
purple. It wasn't any of those, right?
Heck.
Yeah, no, but that was one of the things that they were at least testing for was like, is this just essentially someone went and got oil paint, dipped a brush in it, and tried to like see if they could blend it into their floor and make it a thing. Over time, hundreds, if not thousands, of new tourists started doing pilgrimages.
I thought you were going to say thousands of faces, and I was going to tell you to get the fuck out of here and stop the recording.
Too many dumpster faces.
Too Deckard, bud.
No, yeah, the sight of these faces continued to be an attraction to people, bringing them to Bélmez to observe the faces themselves.
Were they charging admission?
It's a good question.
Seems somewhat crucial to this story.
I don't know. I don't have evidence of that.
Most likely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not just walking people through your house for free all day, right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But also maybe you leave, a window to your kitchen floor open all day long, and people come to your city and look at that thing, and they're also still like bringing dollars into your tiny 2,000 person town. You
just have like a step stool outside your kitchen window.
Yep.
And just like a mail slot to throw dollar bills through. That's how I would do it. Maybe add an extra porthole or two.
And then a guy behind it just pulls a curtain back.
Mm-hmm.
It's very very dirty.
Yeah. Kitchen ghost peep show action.
Kitchen ghost peep show.
Put it on the list.
Put it on the list. God damn, we are killing it today.
Something like that.
That is honestly like most of the story about the Bélmez faces. In 2004, Maria died.
Heck.
And people assumed that because over time the faces had continued to develop and change and be removed, that it was possible that that Maria had just been doing this over and over and over again for, basically 30 years.
Or someone else who lived there, right?
Or someone else who lived
by
there.
Herself, right?
Yep. No, she didn't live by herself, but like her sons had moved out by that time and stuff like that. So I think it was I think by the end it was just her who was still living there.
Like, you know how if college kids, if you're broke, maybe your parents will bring you some groceries or something.
Sure.
When they were broke after they'd moved out, they'd just go home and draw some new faces on the floor.
Yeah.
Collect a little extra
for sure
ticket sales.
Thank you, honey. Take your wares.
I don't know. My overall take on this one is just
we have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok,
this is an OG.
flat out deceived.
We haven't had an appearance in a while from that one.
Did you see the comment when we were at? I think it was the Patreon episode last week when we were talking about the sweet spot in terms of level of preparation from 1 to 10.
Yep.
And somebody said they gauged the prep sweet spot by if I'm still able to hit the soundboard or not.
Oh, it's pretty good.
That there's a tipping point between hitting it constantly and just only interrupting you with soundboard things
and not hitting
it at all.
Yeah.
And somewhere in between is the sweet spot.
That's actually a really salient take from whoever that was.
/ probably just a good policy for the show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To thread that needle.
Do a little prep and don't constantly interrupt your co-host.
Split that difference. Split that difference.
Be able to contribute to the conversation occasionally.
I think it's an interesting concept. I don't think thoughtography is the cause of this.
Yeah, but what if it is though?
I do think.
What do you think about thoughtography in general? It's really fun to say.
Thoughtography.
Yeah.
I like it.
Cool.
As a concept.
Okay.
I don't believe that it has occurred.
It does feel very like modern art-ish to me. Not to keep ragging on like the art history shit, but it does feel like a conceptual art piece more than it feels like anything paranormal to me.
The floor
like,
faces themselves.
No, the whole like projecting images with your mind thing. Of
yeah.
I'm not creating this; it's just coming through me, and I'm just a vessel or a channel for this information from the universe. But also, I can sell it and make money at art exhibitions.
Yes, and I would say I have a hard time because there's part of me that believes that this is going to sound super fucking hippy dippy, but like,
let's go.
That there is a way for us to inflect our energy like outside of us.
Yeah.
And I don't
think that's it though.
Sure, but I guess what I mean is that is conceptually something I believe is possible. Maybe not thinking images to appear on blank film, but
isn't that sort of just what art in general is though?
Yeah, but there's a medium in between.
Well, there is in this case too. There's film and a camera most of the time.
Wait, I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm saying, is that really that far removed from drawing or writing or playing an instrument? In like, at a certain point, with enough skill, you're not thinking about every step that you're doing. Like if you've ever watched somebody who is like an elite freestyler,
yes,
their brain is working in a way that looks totally different from how our brains normally work.
Yes.
And there is something that has been turned off or opened up in a way that it usually is not for most people most of the time.
Sure, I can get behind that.
And the metaphor or the analogy or the explanation or whatever you want to call it of like something coming through you in that moment seems pretty reasonable to me.
I think the difference specifically with this is it is the manifestation of something outside of you without you physically doing anything. You're not opening a shutter to put the image in. You're not I mean, the concept. I'm not saying.
But I made a face at Ryan. Sometimes they were though. Like, who was that? Uri Geller. He would hold the camera up to his forehead and like click the shutter.
Yes, right. Which for all intents and purposes,
learn how to take pictures, bro. Like it's the same. You know what I mean? Like you're what you're trying to tell me that you're doing with your magical, mystical powers is taking an idea from your brain and transferring it onto an image. Like that's what artists do. They just took time to learn how to do it. You're saying you like skipped some steps.
Yeah,
maybe there were ghosts.
You're making a massive leap here, but like
I'm making a massive leap.
But I can get behind.
Thought camera guy is not making a massive leap.
Well, he's asking you to make a massive leap in believing that it's a real thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that is what is responsible for the Bélmez faces. I do understand what you're saying, that like that in some ways it is a translation of what is in your mind to something in the outside world. I think this is one of those, I think maybe what happened. Well, actually, do you want to know my full hypothesis?
Nah.
Okay. See you guys next week. We out of here. That'd be a phenomenal way to end the episode.
Yeah. What do you got?
I think this started with some pareidolia. Paradiddle. We've talked about pareidolia on the show before.
Humans are good at recognizing faces. Sometimes we recognize them in things where they're not faces.
Like
Mars.
Like Secure Team 10's best trait as a human being is his proficiency at pareidolia.
Best and worst.
But it's the idea that because faces are so recognizable to us as human beings through millions of years of evolution.
Our survival depends on it.
Right.
Et cetera. Yeah.
That we're so good at it that we often find them in things where they are not present.
Correct.
I would be willing to bet that Maria and her husband one morning looked at a genuine oil, water, whatever stain in their floor and went, "Oh my God, there's a face in the floor." Yeah, it's Bill. It's Headless Bill.
Get the jackhammer.
Headless Bill. God damn it, Bill, we killed you years ago. Get the fuck out. And someone in the house, maybe not even the couple themselves, like there are some who have speculated that this was one of the sons, like kind of like trolling his parents.
That's fucked up.
As in like they reckon the first one was through pareidolia being like, doesn't that look like a face? And he used some sort of compound to accentuate the features of the face
I really
over
hope
time.
That's the answer.
I mean, also, if you're in a small town that potentially already is doing some thriving off of tourism, and you can find another kind of either, like you said, religious or a concept that taps into a concept that's already fervent into religion, cultural. Yep. And if you can get that story to like breathe and go beyond your city walls, you bring more people in, you have more tourism, you make more money. Whether or not you charge
50 years later,
for
two idiots in another country are talking about it on a podcast.
Right. Exactly. So that's my theory, is that it starts with pareidolia of people recognizing faces in their floor. Someone through good intentions starts to develop them to get the story to like
good intentions.
Well, with intentions.
Yeah.
Capitalistic intentions develops them, and potentially, I mean, I'm curious to know, like, wouldn't it be fucked up if Maria lived her whole life believing that these were legitimately like almost like paintings from God appearing on her floor? Did
they get better over time? And also, how old were her kids? Like, did they start out as 7-year-olds drawings of faces, and then by the end, the dude's like got an MFA in painting or something, and
I do think they get
Guernica on the floor of the kitchen.
They get more complex over time. Like you can see some of them are like multiple faces in one image. That almost appear to
conceptual.
Like they almost appear to have been created as a union. Or
this looks like somebody's really good with a power washer.
Well, and that's actually to go back to your point about pigment and them being painted or not being painted. A lot of people have suspected that you said oil, that through a combination of oil and like water mixed with a
solvent of some kind,
a destainer of some kind, you could essentially use the oil to block the solvent from getting into certain areas of what is already stained concrete.
Yeah. And
then wash over that with something that would lighten the surrounding areas, and it would leave you with would look like something that is, because they do look like the actual forms look like they're weaved out of something that's sort of existing in the floor. Like this part just sort of blends into what is a stain. We'll link to
it's
some
using
of
some of the natural coloring already, so that it looks more organic or like
that's a great way to put it,
in the actual texture and color of the floor.
Right. So that's the hypothesis, is that it was done in a way that it would look, like you said, like more organic, and also be done with stuff where it's like, yeah, of course you're going to have oil on your kitchen floor like everybody does. And, there's no like pigments to be found where it's like, oh, you're just painting your floor, obviously.
Yeah. You want to hear my theory?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your theory.
Floor ghosts. We out of here.
Hey, floor ghosts.
This is our last opportunity to hype this up. Come to Ice House in Minneapolis next week on Wednesday night, the 19th.
Yeah.
And see us and Lydia Liza and Claire DeLune and Sims and drink some Fulton beers and hang out at one of the coolest venues in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
And talk to us about ghosts and aliens and whatever we feel like talking about for a couple hours. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. We hope to see y'all there. It is going to be really fun.
We don't have any other live shows planned for the foreseeable future. So if you want to hang out with us and see us do this thing live, that is your opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously we know that some of you will just, because we have people literally all around the world, who won't be able to be there. Thanks to everybody who supported us for whether it's been 100 episodes or just the last few or whatever. Like we really appreciate y'all for helping to get us as far. So thanks everybody for your support.
Way better than I ever thought it would be, and more fun. And there are more of you listening from more parts of the world. So thank you guys.
We love y'all. Have a great week. We'll see you for episode 100.
We out of here.
Peace.